But now we come to Bucha. Bucha was occupied by the Russians. The Russians, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Russia's been perfect. My experience in the military is no military is perfect because it's composed of human beings who are subjected to some of the most horrific things in the world. Man killing man or woman killing man, whatever. Human killing a human in a combat situation is murder. It's organized murder of the worst sort. And it's not easy to do. It's not something, and it's good that it's not easy to do, but when you get into a combat mode, and I speak of personal experience, you dehumanize the enemy because you go insane if you viewed them as human beings. So you dehumanize them to the point that you can kill them without thinking, without remorse. And if the second you lose that edge, you die. Because the other guy hasn't, he's going to kill you. And when you get that way, you need discipline and you need leadership to be watching your men and women very closely to make sure they don't go over the edge. And it's tough. I mean, Michael Hare wrote a book called Dispatches about Vietnam. It's a classic book. It was quoted in Apocalypse Now, but the saying was, charging someone with murder in wartime is like writing speeding tickets at the Indianapolis 500. It just doesn't make sense because war is about murder. Well, it's not. It's about murder of other combatants. It's not about murder of civilians. Sometimes civilians die. That's just the horrible reality of it. The modern military math is, generally speaking, in a modern conflict, for every combatant that dies, a civilian dies. So if we're in a war where 100,000 soldiers have died on both sides, you're probably going to have 100,000 dead civilians. That's just the way it works. But not in Ukraine. In Ukraine, the numbers are much higher for combatants killed than civilians killed. The number's still big for civilians, but the ratio is not 1-to-1. The ratio is like 7-to-1. 7 combatants for every single civilian killed. Why? Because the Russians are coming in soft. Even when most of the civilians are dying because the Ukrainians are digging into civilian neighborhoods, forcing the Russians to blow up buildings, put down artillery barrages, etc., killing civilians. But the numbers would be even lower if the Ukrainians obeyed the law of war. The reason why I bring this up is we're talking about mindset. We have one side that says we're trying to preserve human life, and civilian infrastructure. We have the other side that says if you collaborate with the Russians, you will be killed. I mean, it's written down. They've made videos. They talk about it. So now the Russians are in Bucha to withdraw, part of this withdrawal. While they were there for several weeks, the Russian military says we had good relations with the local people. It was peaceful. We traded our dry rations for their dairy products. So they had a system of barter set up. So the citizens of Bucha would give them eggs, milk, cheese, and the Russians would give them the dry rations, the flour, the salt, the sugar, the meat, etc. And this was going on. Then the Russians left. Anybody who engaged in that kind of interaction with the Russians was now viewed as a collaborator. We know this because the Ukrainian National Police have published an announcement that they are going into Bucha on April 1st to carry out a cleansing operation to liquidate the collaborators. All right, this is the exact opposite of the Russian approach, which is we treat everybody with respect and we try not to harm civilians. The Ukrainians are saying, if you cooperate with the Russians, you will die. They have a videotape of a senior political figure announcing on social media to the citizens of Bucha, stay in your homes. The National Police are carrying out a cleansing operation. Do not panic. Stay in your home. She repeats it over and over and over again. Why? Because the police are in the streets gunning people down, kicking in doors of people who are collaborating and killing them. And we know this is more than just a document and a videotape, because a videotape of a lady speak, because we have videotape of them actually doing it. We have videotape of the Ukrainian police, especially an Azov group, proudly claiming that you're going on a safari. That's an important word, because when we talk about propaganda, how you take the language of one side, flip it, and use it again, take your language, flip it, and use it against the other guys. It's the Ukrainians who have a special unit. The name of the Ukrainian Special Police Unit that went into Bucha was the Safari Unit. And they were carrying out a safari to cleanse the pro-Russian collaborators. And cleansing means kill, not capture, kill. And they're doing it. And then they go around and they film the dead bodies and they say, the Russians did it. Now, there's a couple of things about the dead bodies. One, most of them are wearing white armbands, which means that they were telling the Russians, we're on your side. Don't shoot us. All right. Two, near each body is a green dry ration box, which they were carrying when they got killed, and it's on the ground next to them. Three, when they didn't have the armband, it's because the armband had been taken off and used to bind their hands behind their back. These people were murdered, not by the Russians, but by the Ukrainians. And yet that's not the spin that we're getting right now. The spin we're getting is just the opposite. All the forensic data that's available right now strongly suggests that the Ukrainians are responsible for the death of these people in Butcha. There's no doubt about it. The other interesting thing is they're trying to say these bodies died. I don't want to get too graphic here, but I've been around dead bodies. All right. You shoot a body on March 19th and you leave it lying in the street in 50 and 60 degree weather until April 2nd, the body ain't looking like they're looking on TV. Bodies tend to bloat up. The clothing tends to tear because the body swells and then the body bursts, and it's very disgusting. It's gross. It's fetid. It's putrid. It's not what you saw on TV. What you saw on TV were freshly killed human beings. And we have another piece of evidence that more people need to pay attention to. A Mexican journalist gained access to Butcha on the same day that the Ukrainians were declaring this, and he filmed the bodies. Fresh blood. He sat there and said, these people are freshly killed. This is fresh blood. Body ain't laying there since March 19th. It has fresh blood. These people were murdered on April 1st by the Ukrainian National Police. And yet we have the President of the United States coming out and saying that this is a war crime perpetrated by the Russians and Vladimir Putin needs to be brought to justice in The Hague. This is a propaganda war unlike anything we've seen in modern times, because it's not just about manufacturing a case for war. This is about an outright lie about murder, which makes us complicit in the crime, us being Americans, because that's our president who's facilitating the crime.
Thank you for that. Yeah.